We rarely know who's watching us. Sometimes it's a student sitting quietly in the back of the classroom. Sometimes it's another runner who sees us show up before the sun comes up. Sometimes it's someone carrying a burden we'll never know about. The truth is, our lives speak long before our words do. The example we set isn't built in our biggest accomplishments. It's built in the ordinary choices to keep showing up, to keep encouraging, and to keep moving forward when life gets hard. Today's conversation is about the quiet impact of living in a way that helps someone else believe they can take one more step. Welcome to Hear Every Mile, where we explore the voices that carry us through life's toughest miles and the stories that remind us we're never running them alone. I'm Laura Thornton, and today I'm honored to welcome Stephanie Londo. Stephanie is a middle school teacher, mentor, marathoner, and someone who has spent years encouraging others, both inside the classroom and on the race course. Today, we're talking about the example we set and how the way we live often becomes the encouragement someone else needs. Stephanie and I have gotten to chat a month or now back and forth. Stephanie was one of the founding members of the Mission Crew Run Club, which is a global virtual run club that we started back in July. We just hit 100 members globally. And Stephanie was one of the founding members, and she really helped to shape what this crew is going to look like. And so it is very much an honor, and I'm so fortunate to have you on today.
Oh, thank you.
So before we do talk about the people that you've influenced, though, I really want to talk about the people who influenced you. So I'm going to kind of dive right in here. Who is somebody whose example shaped the person that you've become today?
Wow, that's a really good question. I don't even know where to start with that. I think over time you have, I can't say that there's one specific person, right? Because you go through life in all these different kinds of phases. And then there are people that come and go throughout your life. And then those people make an impact. If I had to talk about who impacted me at this point in my life as a runner and as a teacher, I'd actually probably say that it's my husband, Jeremy. The opportunity to meet him had really just changed my life. And he just showed me, not just as a runner, but just what it means to be the best version of yourself as a human. Just having him has really shaped who I am.
Wow. Shout out to Jeremy. Jeremy, thank you. Wow. How long ago did you meet him?
13 years ago. And
Okay.
we're going to talk about Students Run Philly Style. And
Yeah.
we met through being mentors and volunteers through the program.
Tell me about what it does, who it's for, all the things.
Sure. So Students Run Philly Style, it's a 501c3 nonprofit program here in Philadelphia. I've been around for over 20 years now. And what we do is we seek to do mentoring, right? And we do that through using long distance running as the catalyst. So we are in middle and high schools in Philadelphia, serving students in grades 6 to 12. And we run kind of two programs. We have a marathon model and a school year model. And depending on which model you're in, you train for approximately 9 months throughout the year. And we work to have kids eventually do the Philadelphia half or full marathon and participate in the Broad Street Run. So
Wow.
that, yeah, it's incredible.
As someone who has two kids in high school, I sometimes struggle with getting them out of their rooms before 11 o'clock during the summer. And you've got these young people out there training to run a marathon. I guess I didn't even realize that was the distance that they're training for. This is incredible.
Yes. So we will have students who will Philadelphia Marathon weekends coming up in November, and we'll have students who participate in the Rothman 8K. For some of them, that will be their first race. If they're in that school year, kids who have been participating in the marathon model that started in March, and their culmination for their season will be the half or full marathon.
Wow. So with this program, you are not just teaching them miles, though. You're not just teaching them fueling and the things that come with this. What are some of the other things that you're teaching them along the way?
not just myself, but all of the mentors in the program, because we were all over the city. We're just teaching kids like how to go the distance, how to persevere when things get hard, how to live in that space of it's okay to be uncomfortable,
Yeah.
kind of learning just how to be the best version of yourself and showing up for others and building your running community.
How to go the distance, how to persevere, things that as an adult in my late 40s, I'm trying to teach other people because I've recently learned it myself. So I think about what you're teaching them at this age, and this is something that no one will ever be able to take away from them.
No, there is something really special about crossing that finish line with a student. Some of our volunteer mentors, we're called running leaders. Some of us are teachers in the schools where we have our teams. Some of us are community members who kind of get connected to a team and
Wow.
come out. But just to see that kid cross the finish line and the kid who just, I can't do this, I'm not a runner, and get that, make that their identity is just incredibly powerful.
So powerful. For these young people, I think about what this can do also for mental health and for stress relief and for all of the things. Like, obviously, without sharing any names, do you have any
Mhm.
stories that just come to mind when you think about how powerful this program has been?
Oh, there are tons of kids. I've had the privilege, I had to do a count the other day, and I've crossed the Philly Marathon finish line with, I think, 6 times? Yeah, 6 times with kids. So I've run marathon with 6 different kids, a half marathon 8 different times. So definitely lots of kids. And that's just on my own team. That doesn't include hundreds of other kids that have gone through this
Wow.
program. One student who comes to mind in particular, she was very talented kid, right? Middle schoolers, because I run with the middle schoolers, and very good at everything she's ever done. Super smart, very artistic, just a real kind of model student. But she really struggled with running. And it was the first time that something didn't come naturally to her. And we were trying to get ready for Broad Street. This is a few years ago now. And as we were getting in those weeks closer to the Broad Street Run 10 miler, we had to sit down and have a really tough conversation of Broad Street isn't for you right now. And she wasn't upset about that. She's like, no, you're right. I'm not ready for that.
Wow.
And we had this whole conversation about how everything has been so easy for you. This is a thing that's a challenge. So we have
Wow.
to keep working at this. And she did. She was able to like overcome that. She worked really hard over the summer and then ran the half marathon in November.
What?
But she didn't quit. Like she stuck with it. And it was just a really awesome experience for her. And I just have countless stories like that of kids who show up that are not runners. You wouldn't consider them athletes. And they stick with it. And even though no matter like what their finishing time is or their pace, like they're just showing up every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. to be there for practice. And it's one of these things like you get to see them be like, yeah, I've run a half marathon. Really like Legally Blonde. What? Like it's hard.
Oh
And
my
for those,
gosh.
it's just so great for those kids.
It's empowering. It's instilling confidence. And I think about the story that you just shared. I resonate so much with that because when I was in school, things came really easy to me up until around the time that I got to high school. And math started to be something that was really hard for me. And the way I processed it just didn't seem to keep up with my other friends who had been in these higher level classes with me. And I remember being so hard on myself and just wanting to avoid it, just not wanting to take it anymore because it wasn't easy for me anymore. How have you seen this transition, this what you're teaching them apply to real life in the classroom, outside the classroom?
I think we see it a lot in how they start to present themselves, like the kids present themselves in the classroom. So I'm a special education teacher. I work in learning support setting with kids in 5 to 8, and I have grades 5 to 8. And I have a number of students who have these individualized education plans on our team. And you see that kind of manifest in what they're able to do in school. And you just see it in, I have students who, for example, have an autism diagnosis where social skills might have not initially been their thing. But to see them now come through the program and through running have developed friendships and bonds with their other teammates. So we had one student at the end of the Broad Street run this year. He was a later finisher, but when he came across to meet everybody, to see all the other kids go and run up to him and encircle him and just chant his name is just so incredible. Because then towards the end of the year, a bunch of our 8th graders were graduating. They're moving on to high school. He came to me and he was like, Miss Londo, do you have note cards? And I was like, what do you mean? What do you need note cards for? And he's like, I need to write goodbye cards to everyone. And I snuck a look at one or two of them after he wrote them. I found them like the cards in the envelopes. And I just saw he writing in the cards, thank you for being a great running friend. And so just to see him write these notes to some kids that normally you wouldn't think like, oh, here's kids who would run in that same kind of social
Yeah.
circle, because some of these kids had way more social capital than this student, which is really powerful to see those friendships and that encouragement that kind of
That
form there.
that hit me in the
Mhm.
feels. I'm a mom of two kiddos who do receive special education services, and my oldest has since he was 3 years old. He's graduating this year, and I think about my middle son who middle school was really hard for him, and he is a great kid. He was challenging for some
Mhm.
teachers, and he gave him a bit of a hard time, but I'll never forget, we had one teacher who believed in him, who saw something in him that instilled a confidence in him, and
Mhm.
he started to shine. And once you empower a young person with confidence like that, that they see that you saw something in them, they start to believe too. And I just think about how powerful what you're doing with this group of young people. So you said they come every Saturday morning. So is it just, it's not just, it's once a week that they practice with
No,
you?
we practice 3 times a week. We're in our summer mode right now for summer break, but traditionally school year from March for our marathon model program from March until November, we'll meet 3 times a week. So we have 2 days after school and our Saturday morning practices. Nice part about Saturday morning practice is we get a couple different teams together. So could have anywhere from 3, 4, 5 teams all getting together on Saturday morning and running together as like that large group. So it's nice to see that extended part of the program. So it's not just like your school in isolation, it's all of the teams together.
And the kids who are necessarily also on the cross country team. These are kids who wouldn't traditionally be on a sports team in some cases, right?
Yeah, some of them are not kids who are going out to, doing the sports. There are some kids who are athletes who play their sports in their respective middle and high schools or their club teams and all of that. And some of them are just kids who found a love for running
Wow.
and
Just
and some of
spectacular.
them just like a lifelong love for running. We have kids. I have a student who started with me when they were 12 when I worked in a different school. And now they're back in the program as a running leader and coming and volunteering. And there's tons of examples like that across the program. There are people who were kids in the program, have worked for the program over time. It's just one of those things of people stick around, which I
Mm.
think speaks to the power of students run Philly style that people still want to be involved, like even beyond like once they finish. And you have a lot of running leaders who've been around for a really long time too. Like I'm entering this is my 14th season. And you have some people who have been around, maybe not always consistently a volunteer, but have been around the program for 10, 11, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years because that's how strongly the program has impacted them and they want to be around it.
So, a mantra that a friend of mine taught me years ago or shared with me years ago is we rise by lifting others. And I'll say, until I started running, I didn't truly get it. And to me, this is that feeling, and this is what I really wanted to capture, for example, with the run club the feeling of you're on a race course, you're struggling. Maybe you're at the wall is approaching. You see another runner who's struggling, you encourage them, which in turn fills your cup a little bit more. It
Mhm.
gives you a little bit more to keep going. And I really am hearing that in what you're doing. And I hope that you recognize you don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. You could live a life where you are focused on your running and your goals, which we are going to talk
Mhm.
about, but doing what you are doing. And you are lifting all of these other young people and literally putting them on your backs to help them get to the finish
Mhm.
line. And I don't mean just in the race, but I mean throughout the training, you and all the other running leaders. This is amazing. Is this a program that could be or is replicated in other states that you know of?
I believe, yes, so we are an offshoot of I think Students Run LA was kind of like the original
Okay.
deal there. And I know, sorry, I should have had more research done for this so I could answer this question more
It's
accurately for you.
okay. I want
But
everybody to do your research.
yes, do your research, look it up. There are definitely other programs that follow the same model and are similar. Our sister program, we were born out of Students Run LA. There are many other programs across the country if you take a look. I'm sorry that I don't know more P right now,
No,
but
listen,
they are out there. They exist.
I want people to look into it because if you are looking to fill your cup a little bit more and help give you a little bit more fuel to get to the finish line, I'll tell you, it works for me. And when I'm struggling, I'm looking for somebody else who's struggling so I can help them feel a little bit more empowered to cross that finish line. And one of the things that caught my eye when I first started connecting with you on social media was your Instagram handle, Steph Runs, and then the number 4,
Mhm.
Mickey Waffles. Okay.
Yes.
So for those of you who are watching us on YouTube today, I as soon as I saw her this morning, I was like, you look like a Disney princess. You have on a Disney princess top and you shared with me what princess is this morning.
Yeah, so this was actually, I think, Megara inspired from Hercules.
Okay.
Just
So if you
just some
haven't
fun.
caught on, Steph is a Disney runner.
Yeah.
And I am in
Yes.
awe of Disney runners because one of the things that I see is you run with so much joy. Tell me about your Disney running journey.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Disney running. I started in 2014 with the Princess Half Marathon weekend. So I started running in 2013 with students run and just really got thrown into like running culture. That was like a running boom. We see replicated now in
Yeah.
2026. That was definitely a time of a running boom there. And I had a couple of friends who had just told me about, oh yeah, Run Disney and that's a thing. And you can go to Disney and run it. What? That's crazy. I'd love to do that someday. And so I actually wound up getting a charity bib for the princess race. And I was going through some kind of like life 30s, turning 30 life kind of transitions. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. This is going to be a thing. I'm going to go run this race and raise this money. So I actually got a charity bid for Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation.
Yeah.
And I was like, for 31, I'm going to run this. And that's cause like very personal to me, a pediatric cancer survivor. So for me to be able to
Yeah.
go and run this princess race and experiencing a new stage of life, I was like, hey, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to go there and travel. I'm going to do this thing. So I raised the money and got the bib, and I was able to go down and have that race experience and ran my first race at Princess. It
Wow.
was really nice too. And my aunt that lived down there came to cheer me on. That was really great. She sadly passed in within this past year. So it was a
My
little,
goodness.
when I was down there, this past princess did get felt a little emotional. It was like a nice memory. Just like,
Yeah.
that was a really great weekend time that I got to have with her down
Yeah.
there. And then I was hooked, right? So then they announced the Avengers race and you could get the
Oh.
fancy coast to coast medal. So I was like,
Oh.
let's keep it going. Got another charity bib for Alex's and ran Avengers and got that coast to coast medal. And
Whoa.
then my husband's a big Disney fan and does all the Run Disney races, does not get dressed up or anything like that.
Oh,
But
come on, Jeremy. Let's
yeah,
go.
and he enjoys the races and he likes to go down there. So it worked out there
I
for
would
the
say
both of
so.
us. And yeah, so since then, try to get down. We run at least one or two a year and be coming up on my 5th dopey challenge in 2027. And it's a nice,
Dopey.
crazy run. Just say it so casually. Just
Yeah.
going out and running
Just
48.6 miles.
yes, I want you to explain to everybody because not everybody has heard of dopey
Yeah.
or even knows what it is. So explain what dopey is.
Yeah. So that's a 4-day challenge where you run a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, and finish off with a full marathon in 4 days
That's all.
for a total
Everybody,
of
4 days.
48.6 miles of magic. It's a great experience. It's a great endurance experience. And the thing that I really have loved about that too was over time, I've made a little running family through there too. I listened a lot to the WDW radio podcast, and they have a running team that had supported the Make-A-Wish Foundation and started running with all of the people involved with that down there. And now they have become some of my greatest and dearest friends, which is crazy. It's the thing I love about the running community, right? Is you find your people and you find the people that you can really identify with. And they just become your family because you're sharing these really super hard things together. And you just find what's so, I'm trying to find the words right now how to explain this. I don't know that you can put it in to words. You find these people that you can just click with. And there's something just so powerful about sharing a race course together, whether you're doing the 5K or the marathon, right? You're just in these moments together where people are going to see you at your best when you're crossing the finish line, but then they're also going to see you at maybe mile 20 when you're at your worst. And you're just logging through that together, whether it's people that, hey, we signed up to do this together, or it's just somebody you met in the corral and it's like, hey, I'm here, you're here, let's share a couple miles together. So
Last year, Boulder Shakeout Run 2025. I remember looking down at a woman's shoes and I was like, oh, I love your shoes. Because we're runners at other people's shoes, right? For me, I'm looking at the bling, I'm looking at all the things, right? I look, I'm like, nice shoes. She's like, oh, thank you. Well, turned out Nike had been like letting people try out the whatever shoes they were doing at the time, right? I didn't even realize that. I just noticed she had them on. I thought they were cute. And I started talking with her. I was like, where are you from? She had retired from the military. She travels and does the Disney races quite frequently. I need to connect you two now that I think about it. But she and I ran that shakeout run together. I saw her the next day at the Boulder. We ended up being in the same charity at unplanned. We had talked about it and she was like, I'm running for Ronald McDonald House, the Chicago Marathon. I was like, I am too. So we get to hang out that day and I saw her along the course in Chicago and it was hot. It got hot really quickly. And there's something so powerful about the people that we meet that we get to share the miles with, that there's this emotional connection that I find because we're both doing hard things alongside one another. And we all know what it feels like to be in the pain cave and for it to be really dark. So I'm very fascinated by this concept of running at the most magical place on earth and being there with other people in costume, the balloon ladies. Look it up if you don't know what we're talking about. And the fact that people will leave their run, go get on a roller coaster and then come back and run. You've done the roller coaster thing, right? Where you've left your run and you've gone on the roller coaster in Dopey?
One time I was able to do it. I was able to jump on Everest with all the people that I was running with. That was a pretty surreal experience. Just like, it's mile 17. Let me just jump on this roller coaster. Like, then I was like, oh, am I going to be able to run again after? Yes. It was, but it was definitely a cool experience. Just
Like,
kind
okay,
of, what's, this is nuts.
yeah. So my favorite ride at 40, almost 47 years old, still to this day, is It's a Small World. Now, is that open during Dopey? Because if it is, I'm in.
Sadly, no. Usually I think by like around just the timing when you hit around when you hit Magic Kingdom. There was one anniversary they had the teacups open. I didn't go on them. I should totally do
Oh,
that. But yeah, normally it's just when you hit the parks, like if the park's open, if you're lucky,
okay.
you can get on
Okay.
get
Yeah,
on a
so
ride.
many.
Sometimes it's kind of tough. You're also kind of it's almost like a little bit of a risk because depending on how long the line is, where you
Yeah.
are in the race, and did you hit the park when it opened? How far are the quote unquote balloon ladies who are kind of like the official / unofficial sweepers of the race? For the people who don't know, they have these lovely volunteers who will maintain a 16-minute per mile pace. And you're using them to judge to make sure you're kind of
Stay
and
ahead
then
of the balloon ladies.
I drive everyone crazy, all of my friends when we're running, because I'm like, hey everyone, the balloon ladies are 3 miles behind us, so we better hurry up. Because I can't do
know
that.
they are.
It's like well, scracker. It's run Disney culture. It's
This is
really
is-
intense.
yeah. This is
I can conceptualize you are 16 minutes like behind me or change. So it's you're actually like 48 miles behind me and we're still moving forward. And
Yeah.
so and I'll be like, everybody, it's like speed up. And I drive everybody crazy.
Oh, I would be too. I have a lot of. That's why I run, because I have a lot of things I need to work out in my head, and I would be like, they're 48 minutes behind, and if we don't keep a 12-minute pace, we are going to risk. Oh my gosh. So, we often think about the physical endurance that's required, but emotional endurance is just as real. How has running helped you navigate some of life's harder seasons? You said you started running in 2013. We all have had a rough time world-wise in the last few years. So how has it helped you navigate some of your tougher seasons?
Yeah, I think what I have found is running is the one thing for me that's always going, that has been consistent. And that even if I'm not training for a race, it's nice to be able to get up and get out there and just go do the run. I find a lot of times that the world can be very noisy, right? Whether it's what's going on in our much larger world, whether it's, hey, I'm just like navigating life right now as a 43-year-old woman and all of those changes that come along after you hit 40.
No, yeah.
Not just my life as a teacher or just being like a friend or a wife. Like sometimes it's just nice to know that you can just get there and run. And sometimes the quiet can come that way. Does that make sense? You just get out there and you have
Makes
that
total
ability
sense.
to just be.
Yeah. Nobody's expecting anything in my mind on my long runs. Nobody's expecting me to be or do, or I don't know, just keep going back to be anything on those runs. I can process, I can think and yet not think at the same time. And yet I find that some of my best ideas, whether it's a concept for a reel or it is a conversation I need to have with my husband or something at work, I find that it comes, even though in my headphones, I might have Tupac playing down a beautiful nature trail and I come up with something because everything else is quiet. So
It's
it
just,
does.
yeah. And sometimes we think about what's the hardest race you train for, the most, full race you're going to training cycle or whatever. I can't say that I've ever had a hardest one because I think everything has brought a different and unique challenge, right? I can't say, oh, this is the hardest one because everything that's come along, because that's just life, right, is different and difficult. When I was training for the 2018 Marine Corps Marathon, I was switching jobs. I was moving from one school to another. So that was like a big life change. My uncle had passed away. just a really difficult summer where I didn't get to train as well as I had wanted to. That's an example of something that was hard. But that wasn't the hardest, because then there was also getting ready for 2021 Philly Marathon. I'm training a student for that, getting them ready, but we're in a post-pandemic world. Not even a really post-pandemic world yet.
Still, yeah, we're still
But
in it.
there's all the emotions of carrying, like, we're living through a global pandemic. The world is like rapidly changing. We've been like in isolation. What is normal? We've been like I've been teaching online. That was a different kind of emotional struggle there. But to
Oh,
know
yeah.
that like we have running throughout the whole thing was super like helpful, because you just have that thing that kind of keeps you going.
It gives you a sense of
Keeps you moving.
clarity.
Yeah. Or just a purpose. Like, I need to get up and get out and do this.
Do you also find that you process things maybe during your runs? There are things that you bring with you, and yet you don't intend on thinking about it during the run, and yet you end up processing it and find a peace or clarity afterwards?
Definitely. You just have those moments where it's like, oh, this all makes sense. Like, you get it.
Yeah.
Or for me, like, I like to run, and sometimes I think through, I don't know, hey, I'm dealing with a thing. What are all the different like scenarios? How could this play out? And I almost like, okay, how like could I rehearse what I would say to this person if I wanted to work this thing out, or working through something? Like, it's just, you just have that time in your head to get through that or think about it. And sometimes it's like it can be really reflective time too.
What was different about me after this was I made peace with the distance. And I felt like after doing my first one, I said I'd never do it again. I did the second one to prove that I could do it again. And in the second one, I knew what was coming, but I also had trusted my training and had enough belief in my body and my mind that I could do it. And so it was the process of getting to that start line, because I knew once I hit that start line, I was going to finish.
Like I said, they're all different, right? Like, I chunk my marathons in. I have like, the marathons I run for myself. These are like my personal races where maybe I'm going for a goal. It's a thing I want to do. There's the students run marathons where that's entirely about the kid. It is what the student wants that day, what goal they are going to try to make. And my only focus is getting them across the finish line. No matter how I'm feeling that day, even if I woke up, I was like, I want to go out, I want to run fast, and I want to have a pee. No, because it's what the kid needs. They are the one that determines the run. And then I have my Disney races, like the Disney marathons I've done, where doing those for vibes, like party pacing. So I've had like, very different experiences with all of them. I think I hear what you're saying about your second marathon, where you're making peace with the distance. But I think for myself, just like my first marathon was where I really came out a different person. Because you do your first marathon and you are not the same person
No.
you were from when you started the race and when you crossed it. It's actually one of the things I kind of talk to the kids about when we're running the marathon. I tell them, like, you are going to be a different person.
Yeah.
When you cross the finish line today. Because I was surrounded by people when I ran my first marathon, like all my friends that were all marathoners. They were all into running marathons. They were all significantly faster than myself as well. And I'm approaching my first race, and never in a million years did I ever dream that I'd be someone who runs a marathon. I'm not athletic. I was a theater kid in high school. My first students run practice, I had been kind of gearing up to be like on the team and be like a running leader. And I was doing couch to 5K on a treadmill. But the first experience of running outside with the kids, one of my running leaders was several months pregnant at the time. And she had just taken off and was able to go. And I was like, I can't even run down the block, let alone ever think about doing any kind of distance. to go from a year from I can't run a block to I just did this thing. I just ran 26.2.
Wait. A year from that was a year from when you started?
From when I started. So I started in I became a runner in March of 2013. And in October of 2014, I ran the Steamtown Marathon. And that was my first
Okay, so for
marathon.
everybody listening who says, I can't run, I'm not a runner, I don't feel like a runner, I don't look like a runner. You are proof. My journey isn't much off of yours as
Yeah.
far as timeline. We have both done this in a short amount of time, and you're literally the second person I've talked to who had a very similar story of time frame. What do you say to somebody who is just starting out their couch to 5K and that first 30 seconds that they're running feels awful? What do you tell them?
Just embrace the suck of it. It's going to feel awful. And then you're going to keep going. You're about one foot in front of the other. And eventually that's going to feel better. And you're going to look for that drive to just keep going further. And then doing the distance that's right for you. I think we're in a little bit of people getting caught up in a marathon frenzy right now. I want to go out. I need to go do the long distance. I think some people might feel like they need that for that validation as a runner. And I think it's important that people run what's right for them.
Say that louder. Say that message louder.
You need to run what's right for you. So if your accomplishment is waking up and your accomplishment is a 5K, that is amazing because you are out there doing more than maybe what you ever imagined for yourself to be able to do.
And be proud of that. Be proud.
Absolutely proud. Not everybody is able to get up there and get out there and do that. And I think going back to what I was saying about the marathon, I was surrounded by people who loved running. And they're all like, I'm trying to qualify for best and I'm going to do this. And I think sometimes we forget that that's not actually normal. When you are entrenched in a running community, you see everyone doing these things. So naturally, like FOMO hits in, I want to do that too. But for anybody to just lace up and get out there, that's amazing. Because you're doing something that not everybody else would do. And you can do it. So find the thing that's going to work for you. Maybe your accomplishment is just, hey, I'm going to run a 10K, or I'm just going to get out there and do this 3 times a week. Like, do what's going to make you feel proud. Like, and kind of like another thing I tell the kids is, I ask them, are we having fun? Because it kind of like I'm spending a lot of time with them. We get a lot of miles out there as we really ramp up the training. And I'm just like, hey guys, it's not worth it if we're not having fun. Like, are we enjoying ourselves? So I think that's a really important thing.
What I think about this, Stephanie, is in that moment where you're saying that to the kids. And now what I haven't shared with everybody is that you are running the New York City Marathon this year. We get to run together with shots, actually, which will be so cool. So you tell the kids it's about having fun. Are we having fun? When we are on one of those 5 bridges, who knows what time we're going to, I know we're not going to start early, right? So maybe we don't start till 10:30, 11 o'clock. It's getting warm. We are uncomfortable. How are you getting through and having fun in a time when other people might say, this is awful, it's hard, I'm struggling? How do you keep that fun in it?
So before I get to the fun, I like to think about the purpose of why am I doing this today? So getting to New York, I have a charity bid, which I am very happy to say is for Students Run. I was never going to get in through the lottery, but I'm also a big personal believer in, if I am going to run for a charity, I do want to make sure that it's personally for me, that it's local. And I kind of know the money, because I'm asking people to give me money, not give me money, but donate to my cause. And it's a time where people it's good for people. They don't necessarily have the extras to do that with. So if I'm asking you to essentially invest your money in a cause, I want to know what that's supporting. For me to run for Students Run is such an honor. And because I also know people who would donate it to that bib, it's going back and helping my kids and all of the students. And for me, I can never repay Students Run for what it's done for my life, like my husband, my kind of current job, my friends, me as a runner. There is no way I will ever be able to repay the program for that. But this is kind of one way to kind of pay it forward.
Hold on a minute. I disagree with you. What you do with those kids every day is paying it forward.
It is. No, you're right. It's just very personally, I will never, ever be able to thank and appreciate for what that organization did for me. I'm going to start with, okay, I'm running for a purpose, right? I'm running for the kids. And when I'm with the students, especially when we're out for a race, I always have to think in my head of like, how am I the best version of myself out there? And part of that is, as a mentor, is like, there are parts of this where it's really going to suck. So how can I myself have fun and stay happy, staying joyful and being in that moment? So it'll be like, hey, I'm going to have my shocks on. And do I have a playlist? And is there a song on that I love? I'll probably have an impromptu karaoke session with myself.
Heck yeah. Let's
Might
go.
inspire other people around me to run faster, to get away from the inevitably terrible singing. I'll probably be coated in body glitter. Yeah. And I will have my very rhinestoned, bedazzled
Me
shoes.
too. Me too.
Yeah. I will have, I don't know, maybe I'll have wacky colors in my hair. I will have all of the dressing up. And I'm going to be like, just kind of thinking about the people around me. So when we see those water station volunteers, thanking them for coming out there today. It's really hard to work a water station.
Yeah.
Because people are running by and they're flipping the cups and you might get splashed and you're out there forever, like holding the cups. They're doing a lot of work that day. So making sure, thanking the volunteers, high-fiving the little kid who is out there with a sign. I think I'm the best version of myself as a runner when I am pacing other people, whether it's kids or just running with my group of friends at Disney or kind of just running alongside someone in a race and just being like, hey, you good? What do you need? Let's go. Or just encouraging others. Because for me, that's how I can get out of myself and out of those moments that are just really hard, because I'm like, hey, let me just think about like, what can I do? What can I do for others right now and get myself?
It's not about me.
In a
It's
good
about
headspace. Yeah.
it. Like, how can I help you?
And for me, that's going to be like the fun part, is just being out there and experiencing that.
Also, the karaoke session, I do the same thing. It is not uncommon. I remember in Vegas, it was a pretty heavy downhill. And I remember coming up and I was singing Lord knows what at the time. But I remember this guy kept looking over his shoulder. It wasn't making sense to him that I was singing whatever it was that was coming out of mouth. And he just kept looking, and I came by and he was laughing. He's like, I got to tell you, he's like, you are powering me right now. And I'm like, oh, you want me to sing more? I got you, boo. Because to me, that's my test of if I can sing, one, I'm having fun. Also, you have to hold this pace for 26.2 miles. So you don't want to come out too hard. You don't want to come out too fast. You want to keep it steady. And so singing is my great equalizer. So we might be singing some songs together along the course. So
it's gonna be great.
Yeah, I'm excited. So our show is called Hear Every Mile because so many runners can remember words that they carried with them from training, during the race, and then long after a race ended. So I want you to think of something that you've heard, whether it is from a colleague, a coach, a family member, a friend, a student, even your own inner voice that comes back when life gets hard.
If the thing that I share with the kids when we're out there training, it's not my own thing. So a couple years ago, runner Dick Beardsley was like a speaker at one of our summer kickoff events. And For people who don't know, go look up he had his own struggles with like addiction and stuff after an accident that he had been in. And he's famous for the duel in the sun at the Boston Marathon, famous runner, but he had talked about to us all about the different struggles he had. And one of the things he had said in that moment was like, the marathon is not the hardest thing you've ever done. So even in that moment, yes, the marathon is going to feel difficult, or whatever race you're in and you're in that mile. And it sucks. You cry. Everything hurts. I encourage the kids to think about what is that hardest thing in your life. And for the kids, experience like maybe I actually experienced very hard things. Or even fellow runners. You just think about, because life does get hard. And in that moment, like the marathon then is not that hardest thing that you've done because you've already done the hard thing.
Yeah.
Maybe you're a runner you're like an adult runner and you are struggling because, you've had a loss, the loss of someone that you love, right? You're mourning a relationship. You've had an illness. There's been a disaster. You're struggling with your own things. Those are the really hard things. And the marathon, that running, you're going to get to that finish line and that hard thing in that moment's going to end. And it's not the hardest thing you've done because you've already been stronger than the marathon and the hard thing.
I'm going to carry that with me.
And for the kids, it's like, shoot, maybe the hardest thing for you right now is you are in an argument with your friend, or school feels really hard right now, or you're having just like what is middle school, teenage, high school difficulty. Maybe the high schoolers are struggling with getting into college or something. The marathon's not going to be then the hardest thing that they've done. That's the thing that I carry with me for all of my races, is that moment of, yeah, I've done a lot of hard things. And in this moment, this race is not the hardest.
I think that my race tats needs to come up with a mantra that says something like that. Like, this isn't that. I have to come up with a way to make it short enough that it could go on a tattoo. But you're right. This is not the hardest thing. It's not. And I joke all the time that one of the reasons I run 3 a.m. every day or do my exercise at 3 a.m. is because no matter what I do after that, getting up at 3 a.m., going downstairs to go exercise will be the hardest thing, hopefully, knock on all the wood, that I have to do that day. Have you used the Rally app before? Have you heard of it?
I have heard of it. I've not used it, but looking forward to using it for New York.
Yes. So I used it, and at some point I need to start playing these, because some of these messages that I got are just, they're so inspiring. My brother's Arnold Schwarzenegger accent is really impressive. I feel like he could be an impersonator somewhere. But Rally for this show is powering the ability to hear every mile. And it's all about encouragement. It's about the voices, the words, and the things that propel us forward. And so the Rally round are 4 questions that I'm asking all of the guests.
Okay.
So we're going to speed round. When things get hard, what is one song you want to hear and why?
Disney fan, right? Go the Distance from the movie Hercules.
Okay.
It's just,
I love that. So on brand.
It keeps me going.
That is on brand. I love this
song.
I think I'm going to play that in the car today. Okay.
Oh, can I have a second place one though?
You may. A 1B.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. B choice, Chumbawamba Tub Thumping. Because you can just rock out to the idea that you get knocked down and you get up again. So
okay. I need to add this to my playlist for tomorrow to see how it tracks and what happens with my speed during that time. Have you heard the theory of while you're training, you pick one song during your speed sessions that you play over and over again, and then you actually have that ready to go, time it where you think you're going to need it the most to push through the wall in your actual marathon. And there's scientific studies around that song triggering whatever emotions to now channel in your tough times.
No, but I think there's definitely some credence for it. Think about because a lot of the songs on my playlist are like on repeat. So when I hear them during the race, I do have that experience of like, oh, feeling associated with it.
Yes. Yes. Okay. One
Okay.
sentence you have heard or told yourself that you'll carry into your next mile.
Just keep moving forward.
Yep.
Moving forward.
Okay. Simple, effective. If you could leave a message for someone else to find on the day that they needed it the most, what would it say?
I'm gonna go back to what we talked about before with this idea of like today, this moment's not the hardest thing you've done.
I really love that. You've made it through 100% of your hard days.
Like, I
I
think
love that.
that wraps that up. Not the hardest thing you've ever done. This ideally just
Yep. Yep.
keep moving forward.
Years from now, when people tell your story, what do you hope that they say mattered the most about you, the example you set, the way you live?
If I think about this from the perspective of a mentor and a teacher, I think I just want to be remembered as somebody who just believed in that, like, the person could do the thing. Like
Yeah.
that go to kid, hey, you can do the thing. I could do it. Ms. Londo said or Steph said, hey, you can do this. And she believed I could do it. So I did it. I think that idea and that I think I'm gonna be remembered as someone who just does right by others. And that's kind of like mentoring, teaching, running all kind of go hand in hand for me. I always start off my school years with saying to myself, don't always get everything right. In a sense, I may not have all of the answers, but I just want people to know that I've always tried to do right by them. And especially in this case, like the kids. And that's like how I would like to be remembered as like a mentor and a teacher and the person.
You are absolutely a light. And I want to let everybody know that Stephanie is going to be the first Here Every Mile Mission Spotlight collab crossover. She's going to be spotlighted later this week in more depth with some questions that I had sent her or interview style questions that you're going to get to see her answers to. And I want to thank you for sharing your story today because one of the things that stood out to me and has from the time that I got to chat with you is that the example that we set is rarely built in these big moments. The suggestions and the feedback you gave to me are small little tweaks that actually can level us all up together, small moments that you maybe don't realize a word that you said to a student or something you said to another runner and how powerful that is. And so you're showing up, you're choosing kindness, and you're staying the course even when maybe nobody is applauding in that moment. So we never really know who is really watching us, whose life we're influencing, but every mile, every run that we do has the potential to bring someone else encouragement. And so thank you for reminding us that sometimes the greatest legacy that we will leave isn't necessarily what we accomplish, but rather how we make other people believe in themselves and keep going. So, to everyone listening today, I want to thank you for joining us here on Here Every Mile. And if today's conversation encouraged you, please share it with someone who may need to hear it. And remember that no matter what mile you're in today, keep listening to the voices that lift you up. Never underestimate the voice that you maybe become for someone else. And we will see you next time.